cool. We're doing it like that.
So this was one of the core questions we were trying to answer at the Outcome Mapping Learning Community Learning Lab 2025 that was held at Waskaduwa, Sri Lanka. So Richard was spearheading this learning activity and he did not want a standard discussion. So we designed this board game format to gather insights from two groups of evaluation practitioners who participated in the activity. Now the rules were simple. We used seashells to map out the challenges of using bricolage and paper boats to map out the solutions to overcome these challenges. And then we thematically organized our findings on the riverboard. So here's the cool part. Whenever things interconnected, like let's say we have one solution for two different problems or challenges, what we did was that we drew a canal to bridge them. Overall, it was a great way to learn and visualize in a way that everyone could see and touch. Now let's dive deeper into learning through our final presentation. So we have titled this visualization as the Bricoleur's river walk. So this river, it is envisioned as the journey of bricolage. And so we have the boats here. The boats represent the solutions and the shells represent the challenges. And this whirlpool of solutions, what it signifies is that we have solutions to every problems, every challenges, but maybe it is unexplored and it is sitting there, it is waiting to be explored. So that's what this means. Yeah.
What was question 4?
What was the question?
The question, indeed, what is the question? What are the challenges of using bricolage and how might these be overcome? Thank you, Michael. I'm going to move right up to the end again. And well, we did have the idea that you could walk along from to my right to the left, but anyway, whatever's comfortable for you. We had two tables, of course, like every group, and we found a lot of overlap. Probably 3/4 of the challenges and solutions came up on both tables. The order in which they appear as you go down the river is not particularly significant. We haven't quite moved to that level of analysis. But I'm going to take you through it from my right. So starting at the far right, the themes are there on the orange posters. So let me unpack them a little for you. Time and resources. Time and resources, so it started there really practically. And particularly with time and resources for meaningful participation. How do you have quality participation and how do you bring together lots of bits or lots of methodologies potentially makes processes long and costly. So how could this be addressed, at least in part? Well, you need to work towards institutional support, work towards flexibility and time and resources, and crucially also to seek out those redundancies between methodologies. So it's not always adding every component of every methodology together. Okay, moving to the next theme, complication, the complication of the process itself. Of thinking, how do you actually make this work? And then also the language. Does the language work? So the consequences of the complicated processes, you can have this, of course, the term came up, Frankenstein design. We have overload and just a whole process or combination that doesn't actually make a lot of sense in the end. So how can you try and address that? What are the solutions? Well, a framework for co-creating, the framework for the bricolage co-creation process can really help. The example, this is with a canvas, and to really design with the users, and then on the language front, using different language and different local metaphors for what we mean with bricolage. The next major challenge, data incompatibility. Data incompatibility, like over time, if we're bringing in different methodologies in the process, then did you have the kind of comparison data from early on in order to compare to what you're looking at later on? So planning ahead, being intentional and anticipating what data you might want later on in the process and seeing how you can build that in earlier on can help you. Now what we have is some swamp plants. Mahesh, what are the swamps?
Yeah, so the swamps, they represent wicked problems. So wicked problems are they are complex problems. We might have some solutions to it, but it doesn't really solve the problem fully. So the boat in a swamp is there is a boat, but it's stuck there. So that is the idea.
Thank you, Mahesh. So the first one we come to back over here is donor resistance. And we thought it was a wicked problem that may be not going away anytime soon. But the idea of, which has come up and we're capturing it here, of involving donors through engaging them in really deeply thinking about purpose and values, and really shining a light on why then the logical bricolage follows from that. Okay? So that's one way of trying to answer that. Another wicked problem up here on the top is power dynamics. Power dynamics is always going to be with us, and it has different consequences. And an idea that came up is to agree on the types of evidence. To really recognize that there are different types of evidence and to surface and to agree up front what they could be. Another feature of this river is what are we calling this, Mahesh?
It's a canal.
A canal?
It's a canal. It connects two things here. And maybe you can explain the connection, the links.
Okay, the links. So the canal is there to show where solutions from one problem can also help address another problem. So the problems we thought in terms of the complicated process, it seems that it can be overwhelming, can be addressed partly through communities of practice, or a community of practice, sharing of experiences, sharing of cases, documented cases, are still few and far between, it was thought, networks, training, mentoring, kind of common building understanding methodologies. So, moving forward, so the lack of cases is a problem in itself, and if we can publish these cases, however they're documented through animations, through written forms, whatever, this can help address the problem of the sophisticated understanding that you could need if you just come to the idea of bricolage without these examples. Then we have another wicked problem here in terms of the fact that you are maybe very often experimenting. There's going to be uncertainty. You're going to be trying out, is this combination, is this going to actually work? So that can build in feeling of unease for some stakeholders and also stretch the boundaries of time. And so this idea of stakeholder patience and nurturing that and sensitizing stakeholders to that and building trust in the process. I'm not telling you how to do that, but those are some of the measures that we thought would come in. Then coming along here, this idea of going beyond the conventional, going beyond that criteria, beyond normal evaluation standards, and beyond what's normally thought to be credible. So the cases, again, were thought to be a way of mitigating that, generating buy-in. The special issue of the general evaluation could be really helpful in a very concrete way in building some confidence around bricolage among those who are doubtful. Then we're going to focus on competencies, evaluation competencies. Mahesh, what were we thinking there?
Yeah, so another challenge that we identified was the lack of adequate evaluator competencies. It could be soft skills, it could be the facilitation skills. So the solution or the way to move forward is to have more research into training programs for bettering evaluator competencies.
Brilliant, thank you. And I think another one that connected there was also, which connects with, I think, with three, guidance on the essence, the essence of methodologies we have there, so that no one can be an expert in all of them. So that idea came in there. So there's a lot of synergies between what came up in your other groups, which I think is a positive thing. Okay, we've come now to this end of our river walk, and a theme we've called method inertia. Method inertia, partly because of these method police that we think are out there, partly because of a Luddite attitude, perhaps, among some people or institutions, perhaps, or an attachment to a method, just a comfort zone. What can be done? What can be done about that? So, power mapping to identify blockages is an idea. Fostering a permission to learn is, of course, as well as a possible solution. And pooling the knowledge in teams where you can to go beyond what you're familiar with. Just some ideas. And then lastly, we have another sticky problem here, wicked problem, which doesn't have a solution: the misuse of bricolage. And some challenges in relation to that is, well, we're sort of thinking about the definition of bricolage, so how do you know it's misused if you haven't concretely defined it, right? So we've got lots of ideas about what it is that we've been sharing and you've been contributing to, but there's also like an idea that it is very much a dynamic process discovering what bricolage is and isn't. And the very idea of even leasing such a co-creation is perhaps not even appropriate. So misuse may be always there because we don't know what the use is, or maybe you can't have misuse. So it's still a bit of an open question. Anything we probably missed? So if you recognize or you think something is missing from your time on this table, please add. That would be great. Thank you. And then Michael. Thank you.
So that summarizes our learning. Thanks for watching and stay engaged.